at the beginning, then maybe the pages aren't so fresh anymore, and then you have some time waiting during the live demo, and I hate this always. So
Yeah.
I think we are fine with this. Then I can share my screen. So
All right. We can see your screen.
cool. Then we can wait until we have.
A few more minutes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think you will do some short introduction,
Sure.
or
Absolutely.
okay. And how's the event going?
Oh yeah, this has been going wonderful, and we kind of finished almost like 12 to 13 sessions so far. Like we started by 9:30 a.m. our time. It's right now 6:30, and we didn't take any break. And I'm just talking about one track of it. Like we have two track, one for development, one is for like professional, like IT pro and IT dev. So the sessions are really going great.
Cool. Yeah, I love these events. If there's something positive for Corona, then you would say, okay, it's that we have all this global events. You can join everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. We all are like going through this pandemic, the global pandemic together, and I think we have unlocked a lot of creativity and innovations.
Mm.
I was saying people are really liking you, and they're just already dropping and text to say hi to you in the chat. They saw you, some of the other
Oh,
user group.
okay. Uh, I was seeing that you were talking to somebody, and I said, oh, he's muted. I'm not sure. Ah,
Yeah, so
cool.
you come. Yeah, so the
Hey Nicole, Vignesh here.
Hi, how are
Hey,
you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm excited for my session.
All right, awesome. And it's really a pleasure to have you with us. And thank you so much for being a part of this event.
You're
I think
welcome.
I think this is the first time you're doing a session for the India user group, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, the
Awesome,
first time.
awesome. I'm pretty sure our audiences would love to hear from you. And good luck with your session. So with
Thank
that,
you.
I think we can start because we are on time. Yeah, you're good to go. You can start now.
Okay. Um, then I will kick off. Welcome to my session, Your Intelligent Workplace with Microsoft Teams and AI Builder. So Microsoft Teams is the main tool we are using today for so many different things. If I think about my team, then I'm using Teams every day and we are doing our virtual meetings there. We have our daily stand-up meeting. We are using Teams as a kind of a virtual office. So we have, for example, a Teams meeting which is going on the whole day, and then it seems like we are working in the same room, but it's a virtual room for sure. And today I want to focus on a little bit different things, because if you are using Teams for collaboration, then you could also think about business processes. And that's where Power Apps, Power Automate, and maybe the AI Builder um, have their reason, and can be included. And in this session, I will tell you how we use the AI Builder in a combination with Power Apps to support a business process like scanning invoices or service reports. How can we deal with the different kinds of documents which are not in digital format at the moment, and how we can proceed in Teams and work on this stuff. So first, a few words from my side. If you don't know me, my name is Nicole Enders. I'm from Germany, so it's a little bit away from your place. So I think so, because it's a local event here for you. And I've written several books. I started my career with SharePoint 27, and since SharePoint 2013, I'm writing books based with a focus on the power user level. And then I switched to Office 365, and nowadays we talk about Microsoft 365. Yeah, and I've written collaboration books for these two editions of cloud services from Microsoft. And next week I will publish my book about Microsoft Teams. So you see here, I have a long story. I'm some kind of a Microsoft junkie, and I want to see everything what's going on there. So maybe for next week, if I think about this, I'm excited for Microsoft Ignite, because then we will get so much more updates. I hope so. And yeah, but I would say let's start with the main topic of this session. So if I talk to my customers, then we have a conversation in the most situations, and we talk about, okay, if I look on office.com and I see all these applications and services, what do I need to do to get a plan? Which tools should I use, and which tools are not so important for me? And if you have a look on these tools here, some of them will be familiar for you. Some of them maybe you have read something about them, or you watched a YouTube video. But if it's the right thing for you in your daily business, that's another question. So I don't want to talk about tools. I love to talk about use cases, and think about your daily business life. What are the main use cases you have to deal with the whole day? If I think about my use cases, then working together on a document is a main use case I have. Some of the documents are in a digital format, some of them not. And I would say 80% of these use cases, I have to work together with some of my colleagues, with some customers, some suppliers, and we have to think about how to coordinate our work. So can we work at the same time on the same document? Or do we need to write our first version, send it maybe via email to the next person, and this person forwards the document to another person, and so on. And at the end of the day, I get 10 or 15 versions of this document, and then I have the work to aggregate and consolidate everything. That would not be a good day, I think. So for me, one of my main use cases is that I need a central data location where I can add my document, and then I can inform other people to work on this document. And for me, it doesn't matter if this is an internal person, so for example, a colleague, or if it's an external person as a customer. For me, it's important that I know I have the central location, and then I can share my document and I see the changes immediately, and I don't need to do anything later on to consolidate the information. Another use case, or maybe it's some kind of a use case family that's related to exchanging information, and the information management part that can be in different kinds. So you see here some use case with exchanging information in an ad hoc way. That's chat, for example. The other use case is spreading in company-wide information. That's for example, something HR could do, or your internal communication department, if they want to inform all employees about an important change. Then this can be done here in a company-wide scenario. And the last one here is building a corporate network. So if you want to stay in contact with your colleagues, or if you want to follow somebody because he has some great ideas and you want to hear immediately when he posts a new message, then that's the reason for a company-wide network. And if you are thinking about company network, then an external network could be something interesting for you as well, because you could build an external network with some of your partners, with your customers, then you could use the same tools as you're using in your company. Yeah, that's for information management. And then we have other use cases in my daily business. So that's more related to project management or working in a project. So we want to manage our tasks. We want to share our knowledge. So if I've learned something new in my project, then I want to inform my colleagues who are working with me in the same project, but maybe also other colleagues who are belonging to the same department as I, or maybe I want to inform everybody in the company about this this new lessons learned I've had here in the project. And last but not least, so that's something which is maybe related to the work during a project, but that can be also based on a company wide level. That's supporting business process. And we will see one business process here in this session. So I will have a few slides about this, but we will also have a look in a live demo environment to check how it's working. And that's the first idea. So if you see how you can do this, then you can think about all your business processes where you want to scan documents and get information out of them. So we will see in a few seconds. So based on the stuff I've shown here, the company or corporate network, that could be Yammer, but SharePoint is the base of everything. And then Teams is the main part we will see as a front end for the end users. So we will see this here in the demo as well. Okay, what about Microsoft Teams? Only a short introduction if you haven't used Teams so much so far. So Microsoft Teams, there we have a lot of use cases. Like today for our event, we can use Teams. There's another option for meetings, so we could do this as a live event too, but then you wouldn't have the option to ask questions directly. So in a live event, there's only a Q&A section, and we could only read your questions and then try to answer them. That can be an option even for large events if you have a lot of participants. But if somebody asks a question and you don't understand what he really wants to know, then it's very hard in this way to get an idea how to help this person. Yeah, and then Microsoft Teams, I love this tool because we have so many options to combine different services and to get the best environment I need to have for my project, maybe for my organizational unit and so on. So every team can look a little bit different. And I've created a team here for our session to support the process to deal with service reports. And we will see this later on. So if we think about Microsoft Teams, then you see this here. We see here our teams. We see the channels. That can be a private channel. I am always talking about private and public channels. I prefer the public channels because for private ones there are only a few use cases. I think though. And then you can see here there's a new message, and that's something we can use in our business process later on too. So maybe we could inform somebody via Teams that there is a new service report which has been uploaded by a project manager, and then somebody needs to write an invoice. We could also use the chat section, or we could mention a channel or a person. And if you are working with teams and you have a lot of teams, then I would really recommend the search and command bar, because then if you start with a slash, then you get a lot of commands which are available for you. And I'm using the go-to command very often, so I don't need to scroll in my list and get the right team. So I start with the go-to command, and then I can start typing, and I get some recommendations for the team I want, or the channel I want to switch to, and then it's very easy to go there. You could even start calls, and you could start chat messages there. So if you don't use this, my recommendation is check this out. And I was talking about external networks, and here at this section I want to talk about external collaboration, because in business processes that's quite important to know that you can invite other persons like your customers and partners to a team in your tenant, but you could also be invited by your customers or your partners. And if you have been invited to at least one other tenant, then you will see on the left side of your profile picture at the top right corner, you see this here in the zoomed in part with the conet.e. Here I see that at this moment I'm in the tenant conet.de, and I could switch to the Collab Talk tenant if I want to. So that's an external tenant where I've been invited as a guest, and a guest can do a lot of things. So he can participate in writing together on a document. He can upload different files. He can join the chat and so on. So if you think about a solution to support a business process, then you don't need to stop at the border of your company. So you can think about to integrate all the other external partners or participants of your process and then build the whole business process there. Okay, and then we are here. We need a business application. In my case, I had the following scenario. We are working as a service provider in our company. So I'm doing workshops and trainings. Maybe we are building some smaller software solutions for our customers based on Microsoft 365, or we are working as consultants. And in nearly every case, we need to write service reports at the end of the month. The customer needs to sign them, then we get them back, and if we have the digital or real signature from the customer and from our project manager, then I have to send this document to our colleagues who are writing the invoices. Yeah, and I don't know how if it's working for you, but for me, that can be such a long process because I create this service report in most of the cases in Excel, and then I print it out, I sign it, I scan it, so then I have a PDF again. Then I send this via email to my customer. He prints it, he signs it, he has to scan it again, and then he sends the PDF back to me. And I send this PDF to our colleagues who write the invoice. Yeah, and as you can see, that can take some time until I get my response. If I think back about last year or 2 years ago, then I was the person who printed this document, signed it as first, and then I was sitting at the customer's office and I said, okay, please, can you sign me the document? So then we saved some time because he didn't need to scan this document later on because I had it and then I could give it to my colleagues. Yeah, and we now want a digital solution. So that's our scenario here. And how could we do this? In the past, I would say I need a software developer who thinks about a solution. How do we need to create this software application? What are the different screens we need to know, and how is it going? But you may have a guess that I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, so we have 2 slides here, not more, because then I will talk about this movie too much. The world has changed, and the world has changed a lot, because in the past, yes, then I would have had to talk to a software developer. He needs to build me an application. I have to tell him a lot of things, how this process should work, how I expect the application to behave. And now it's a little bit different because it's time for the citizen developers. If you know the movie, then you know that these 4 hobbits are the real heroes of the story. At the beginning, nobody had in his mind that these small people could do something which changes the world. And for me, this is a nice picture. Keep it in mind, because if you think about everybody who's sitting in a department like HR or in a department where you have special business processes, these persons, didn't know that they are the most important persons in a project when we need a new business solution. They have to give us the requirements. They have to tell us so many things that we are able to build a business application. And now it's time for the citizen developers, and that means that we have a lot of tools out there which could be used by these people. Maybe at the beginning they will be a little bit afraid because they say, oh, I'm not a software developer and I'm not a technical consultant. So please give me the chance to talk to you and to give you the requirements. But they could be able to do this now. Most of the persons won't do this in the future, I'm sure. But they have the option and maybe they can start building something. So I had a few customers in the last weeks which said to me, oh yeah, I've checked it out and I started building my first custom Power App. I didn't find a solution for everything I want to do, but can you have a look on my prototype and then help me to get the next requirements working in this application? So what's important here with this slide, keep in mind that nearly everybody could build a business application now. Not everybody will use this chance, but Microsoft is doing a lot of things for us, so we can use the different tools which are available there and start working on this. And I was talking about Power Apps. I mean the whole Power Platform. So if you think about the Power Platform, you see the different services and apps here. Then Power Apps is the main service because that's the user interface we will see later on. Power Automate is at least from the same importance as Power Apps because you will try to support a business process, and then you need some automation. Maybe you want to create some tasks in Planner, or you want to send a message to somebody if you upload a file or something else, and then you will use Power Automate for this. Power Virtual Agents. It can be that you won't use this because that's the chatbot component. But think about who said that we need a user interface where we add or enter every data manually. Wouldn't it be nice that we have a chatbot who asks me the right questions, and then he gets every information he needs from me, and then he can do the job with filling out large forms and so on. So for me, it can be so much easier. That's why Power Virtual Agents is interesting, but it's not focus of this session. So only to let you know. And last but not least, Power BI. For me, it's something which is some kind of an extension later on in my business solution, because I will start building the screens. I will think about the process steps and so on. And at the next step, I will think about if I need dashboards, what are the different controlling aspects I want to implement in my solution. And we see here at the bottom, we have some different aspects in the Power Platform as well. And in this session, we will see the AI Builder. That's the component for artificial intelligence, as you can imagine. So there are different options, and here we will focus on the forms processing. So that's my service report I was talking about a few minutes ago. What you can see here, it's a PDF here for our demo, and we have some kind of a header, so we can see at the top right corner a date where the service report was created. And then we have some informations like contract number, the customer, a project name, and so on. And it ends with the consultant. And then we have a table with detail information. So for every day in the month, I could enter one new line and say, okay, I've worked on the following milestone. In the description, I would enter what I have done, and I would also need to write what was the effort in hours. So I have a total number, and that's relevant for the customer. And this service report needs to be signed from both sides, and then we can create the invoice. So what do I do? Imagine I get this PDF from the customer. The digital signing process is something outside here of this demo for our session, but I want to extract the data of the service report. So I need the information. When was the service report created, for which month, for which contract, and so on. And I even need the data of the table. And with the AI builder, we can now create a model and say, okay, this is the information about the creation date. You will find at the top right corner, and the information about the consultant is the last line in the header section, and so on. And what I really like is if you have enough documents with the same layout, then you don't need to tell the AI builder, this is the creation date, and here's the consultant. He will get an idea of the structure of your document, and he will tell you what he's thinking about this document. And then you can say, okay, that's right. You got everything in the right way. You can go with this model. Or you say, maybe something was too close to each other, so I have to correct this and tell the model, no, this is not the consultant, that is the project name, and so on. Maybe we will see this at one screen on the following slides. I've put the creation of the model here in the slides because that takes a few minutes. And in a live demo, that's always a risk that it takes too long. So we will see this here in the on the slides. What we can see here, we are in the Power App Studio, and you have the section with the AI builder here. And if you go to build, then you will get some options. We will use the option with the form processing, but there are also other options where you could, for example, create a solution like you add a lot of pictures, and the model knows if on the picture is a cat or a dog. So you could train the model, but please be aware with all the models that there can be some wrong results if you train the model with not so much data. So please be aware that you need the right data and example documents, because then the model will say, okay, I recognize a cat when it's a white animal, and I recognize dogs when there's a black animal. And if you have later on a picture with a black cat, then it would say, okay, that's a dog. So that's something which is discussed in the communities a lot of, that you need to think about training AI models with the right data. If you go with the form processing, this dialog would be the next step. So you need to name your model. In our case, I would name the model as service reports demo. And then you see here what you will need. You need minimum 5 documents with the same layout. And I've created a model a few weeks ago for a customer who had a lot of invoices, and I think there were 20 documents, and 5 documents had a different layout, and then my model got a little bit crazy because it didn't know what to do, because in the one layout the service report date was at the top right corner, and in the other layout the date was a little bit below. So he said, okay, I'm not sure if it's the invoice number or the date, so please help me to get an idea what's going on there. So if you named your model, you go with next, then the next step is to add documents to create the model. You can upload the documents, and for example, I had them as PDF here on my my OneDrive, and then I uploaded them, and then you click on Analyze, and the documents will be checked here. You see, okay, I've added 5 documents, so I've only used the minimum number, and we can see, okay, they seem to be in the same layout, so I can analyze them. And if you go there, now the model is already prepared for us, and it says, okay, here I have this dot marker here. It knows that here is an information, and it's the created information here with contract number and so on. And I focused here the project name, and he says, okay, this information I would call within the model project name, and this is the value I see in this concrete document. And so I can say, okay, I select all fields which are relevant for me later on in my process. And if I click on done, then the model is prepared. And please don't forget to publish your model, because otherwise you cannot use it later on in your applications. But then you could go here to Power Apps, for example, and you see here AI Builder. And if you extend the section, then you would find the forms processor here. Here it's already added for us. And then I can select a document, I can analyze it, and then I can show the information. And in our case, we will not only read this information, we will also add the PDF to a document library in SharePoint, and we will save some of the extracted data as metadata to the document. We could do a lot of more, but I think for this case, that can be enough. So let's have a look how it's working in a demo environment. And for this, I go here, and first I show you the final result. So if we are here in Microsoft Teams, I've created a team for service report management. The main users of this team will be the colleagues who write the invoices, but I've also added the project managers who will be responsible for the service reports. And why shouldn't they have access to this team? And they can upload the documents right here. Yeah, and I've also created a channel, service report scan. And as it's a demo environment, you don't see any conversations here. You only see, okay, I've added a tab, and that's a Power App tab here. So we see this here, service report scan. I go here, and then we have our application. integrated in Microsoft Teams. I will show you this in Power Apps too, but what's the case here? I can click on Analyze. I have my service reports here, and I select Eve Morgan. Here, this forms processor control is a little bit too small to see what's going on here, but if it's ready with the with analyzing, then we could also see how sure the model is regarding the different values. In this case, it's quite easy because it's always here 100%. But if you have a service report which has a little bit different layout, then it can be that he says, okay, that's only 60% or 40 or whatever. And you also get here an information what he has done. So what's here? I said, okay, it's Eve Morning, that's the consultant value, which is here in the header section. I have here a combination of two values which come from the header section, and I have also the creation date at the top right corner. And I show everything which is in this table. What I can also do is to say, okay, I want to share this with the team. If I click on this, then you could expect that that we get a message, okay, thank you for uploading or so on. I've not implemented this in the Power App so far, but we can check if the file is existing. And I've also added a new document library, service reports. You can see here, okay, Eve Morning, just now uploaded, so everything's fine. But let's open this in SharePoint, and I've done this here in a separate tab. Say, okay, service reports. We see here Eve Morning, and you can also see we have added different metadata. So we have the contract number, the project name, and so on. And we could also add more and more information. So the decision maker and project manager, which are relevant here for our reporting. So maybe if you think about this document library, we could also have a field to assign this document to one of the colleagues who create the invoice, and they can create different views to work on these documents. That's all what's possible with SharePoint. Okay, but what's about the Power App? Here's the Power App in a full screen scenario, but we want to see what Power Apps here itself. And first, before I go to the app itself, I show you here AI Builder. And in the slides, we were here in the screen to create a new model, and we got with the form processing. If we have created our model, then we find this here via this menu item. And here, for example, I have two different models. I will go with the service report demo. You see what's going on there. And then you see here, okay, that's the model. Here are the different fields we have defined, and we could use this model in Power Automate or Power Apps. So if you want to change your model, you could do this here as well, only that you see where it's going. But let's go to the app, because I've created a new Canvas app. And if I say, okay, I want to edit this app, I can go here. And then we will see the AI Builder components a little bit more. So, and here, this is the form processor I was talking about. If I click here and say, okay, let's insert, then we have here AI Builder and form processor. And then we have to tell which model we want to use. So here everything is prepared for us. I say, okay, text I want to show here is analyze. And as you can see here on the left side, I like to name my components. So if you add a new form processor control, then it will be called form processor 1. I've renamed this one, so it's called scanner, because for me, I want to scan PDFs. And the same should be done for the buttons and the labels. So you see, if you are a developer, then you want to name everything. If you are working with Power Apps as a power user, for example, then maybe you won't do this. So I talk about this a lot of when we work together with customers, if we want to have a name convention for this. So scanner, we keep in mind that this control is called scanner. And if I go to the label here, for example, then I say, okay, please write at first consultant, and then I want to have the consultant name. As you can see, the scanner control, so our forms processor, he has a property called fields. I start with a dot, so we see a little bit more. He has also original image. That's the image when we have added a PDF, for example, because he's working with an image at this moment. We could also go with the results, and we can go to the data table. And yeah, that's really it. So if we go with the fields, then you will see, okay, he has a consultant, but he has also the contract number, creation date. So all the fields we defined for the model, and we can work with this. And that's why I say here, okay, let's go with the consultant. Here, I create a longer information. So I want project, and then I create a combination of project number and project name. And here in the data table, that's the same, because then I say, okay, I have a data table, and I select the fields I want to show here from this data table. And where does he know that I want the data table? That's why I say that's because I say the items for this data table are coming from the scanner control, from the tables, and he has named it table underscore O. I could have named it in the model a little bit better, but I didn't do this at first. So then it's called with the number per default. Yeah, and last but not least, our button, because we need to write some metadata, we need to add our document and so on. And we can see this here in the action, but we can also see this here in the form bar. I extend this here a little bit. And then I say, okay, upload service report, run. This is a flow which will be executed. And this flow needs several information. So at first, he wants to have the file name. Then some more metadata I want to add. And please be aware, if you want to write some data in a date time field, then you need to convert the value, because it sets only a string at the moment. And then I want to save my PDF. So this is the file. Not this, the file here in this case. And then I also wanted to save the creation date. So it's an attribute I added a little bit later. So that's why we have this order here. Okay, if I go back here, so we see a little bit more, then that's nearly it for the Power App. And I want to show you the flow, because there I was expecting that I say, okay, This is a flow. I want to trigger it via Power Apps, and then I can do my create file and my update file properties command, but I need to do a little bit more. So if you're looking here, Power Apps, that's a trigger. There's nothing else which has to be done. Create file. There I say, okay, go to the following site collection. I want to store this in the library called service reports. And here I want to ask Power Apps for the information, what's about the file name. And at first I added here in file content my original image, but it was not in the right format. So I need to go with the compose action, and I needed to convert it to a base 64 binary, and then I could go with the output here. And then the update file properties, that's quite easy because then I have created my file, I have the item ID, and then I can do an update command and go with all the properties here, and I ask Power Apps again for this information. So that's how the Power App is working. And I didn't show this, so only if you don't know how to work with this, if you go with the plus sign here, you find Power Apps. And if you add this, then you will get the all the apps which are available for you. You can add this app to your team as a tab. Please keep in mind, if you prepare everything, you need to publish the app and share this with all the person who need to work with this app. So for you, maybe this will be available here, but if you forget to publish your app, or if you share it with not all the persons who want to work with the app, then they will see the tab, maybe like this this way. They will go, okay, service report scan, and then they will get an error message because they don't have access to this app. So you need some kind of a checklist if you work with this component, that you publish your AM model and that you publish your Power App, that your flow is running, and that you didn't deactivate this. So that's important that you keep this in mind. Then I would say, let's go back to the slides. And that's the last one I have here. So we will have some time for questions. So if you build your custom workplace or your intelligent workplace, the first step is that you take responsibility, that you keep in mind that you can be a citizen developer. You don't need to know all the stuff which is important for a hardcore developer, because the hardcore developers, they need so many tools, and they're using different frameworks and so on, and they are coding the whole day. With the Power Platform and all these amazing tools out there, you can get familiar with a tool, create small business applications, and then develop further and further. So first step is think about that you can do this. The next one, if you want to go with the Power Platform, as I've shown you here in the live demo, is learn to use these tools. My recommendation is start with Power Apps, with a Canvas Power App, and then think about, okay, I've created my first Power App. Maybe I've stored data in a SharePoint list, or maybe in an Excel file. And then what's the next step? Go with Power Automate, do some more steps. For example, in our use case, we could also have created some messages in Teams, or we could have created task and planner. So check it out. What's the best for you? What and which tools you are already using, and then extend your application maybe with the AI builder. So if you have some documents, or if you have something which you want to digitalize, then create your model, integrate it in Power Apps or in a flow. We didn't see this in the demo, but that's also possible. So you could create your model, and then you could work in a flow with this model. So maybe you get some information and you want to trigger the model that he checks. For example, if there is a cat or a dog on the image which was uploaded. And maybe you have a lot of ideas at the moment. If you want to start with building your business applications, then start with a small solution. So think about a quick win. That's always working for our customers. So they think about, I need a small solution for this business process, and that's not so much effort to solve this problem, but everybody will be happy about the solution. So that's a quick win. And think about if you are using Microsoft Teams a lot of, then think about integrating this into Teams in your daily business. And the fourth point here is it's so much more fun if you are doing this in a group. So if you are the first person in your company, then talk about what you are doing there, inspire your colleagues, and maybe you will get the chance to create some kind of a small team which is working on different solutions, and then you can achieve so much more, and it will be fun, because then you can talk about, okay, I've done this, and the other person says, okay, I've learned a new component in Power Apps, so maybe we can do this in your business application too, and so on. And share your knowledge, talk about what you are doing. I see this so often here. If you are talking to other communities, or if you have a look on Twitter and so on, maybe you think that's very, very simple what you have learned in building a business application, but somebody else doesn't know. So talk about this, share your knowledge inside your company, but even outside. Then we will get so many cool solutions right there. So that's it. Does anybody have some questions? So I will stay here for some time. So then, Chris,
Yeah,
I will want to thank you for joining this session. I didn't see something in the chat. Was it right?
yeah, folks, we have a new session coming in depth track. Is Microsoft 365 exploring Microsoft Graph Toolkit. So yes, if you have any questions, Nicole is here. Shoot her. She's more than happy to pick few questions until the next 10 minutes here. But I would really say if you have no questions left here, please feel free to join into the next session. And I would really um, thankful for Anders Nicole for providing a great insights of what you can do with the Microsoft SharePoint and a Power Platform, and sort of all applications integrations to make your employee be more productive, collaborative, and engaged. And some of the solutions approach she have taken through the insight of form processing model for more of invoice management tool, if you guys looking for. So feel free to shoot her any questions if you have in the meanwhile. And then I request everybody to join to the next meeting, which is on Graph Toolkit. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I don't see any more questions left here in the chat. So feel free to drop in, and we really appreciate your time taking us through this session. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Good morning, Vignesh here.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to go and move on to the next meeting. Thank you, Mr. Nicole, for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you very much for the support and have a great event.
All right. Thanks for your wishes. Thank you.
130 plus attendees.
Bye.